Precious humans. I am Jamie Dawn, your revolutionary astrologer, bringing you your celestial wisdom video for the week of July 4th through the 11th of 2021. Just a quick reminder, if you're new to this channel, thank you, welcome. If you subscribe and you're getting notifications, then you know that your July by sign horoscope is posted. And there's so much happening in the month of July that I want to make sure that you have a chance to get some inkling. Remember, we are multi-layered, versatile, complex beings. So if you're just watching for your sun, you may not get a lot of information. So your sun, moon, and rising, the three personal, well, it's really the two personal planets, and then you've got, and they're luminaries, and then you've got your personality, your ascendant, your rising sign, but that's the core of us. If you get nothing else, watch all three of them. If you're not sure what your rising or your moon is, then make sure you get a natal chart done. You will need to have your time of birth. That is crucial to get that rising sign exact. So also, thank you. Just thank you for being in my life. I just absolutely love you guys. I'm wearing a hat today. Why? I don't know, just felt right. It's raining outside and we could use it here. I know the Pacific Northwest is dealing with some major heat wave. Here in Reno, Nevada, there's plenty of heat all the time. We're in high desert, so it's pretty normal. But either way, sending lots of balanced, cool air to our Pacific Northwest folks. And of course, anybody else who is watching, if you are here in the United States, I wish you a very happy Independence Day. And if you are anywhere else in the world, I just want to wish you best life, best things in the world. I'm so energized by all of you. And I think a lot of this energy, and if you notice, I'm talking a lot with my hands, which I tend to do anyways, but I feel more animated right now. Most likely it's because we've got this Saturn-Uranus square that has been happening all year so far. It continues throughout the year, but Mars and Uranus has also been squaring off. And that creates even more of that, say, I don't see nervous energy. I don't feel nervous. I just feel animated and I feel excited. And Uranus, it does have a tendency, because it's electrifying, it works with our nervous system. Think of this too. Saturn rules traditionally Capricorn and Aquarius. Uranus is the planet that rules Aquarius or represents Aquarius. Mars rules traditionally Aries and Scorpio, and it is squaring off with Uranus. So when you've got these two planets, Mars and Saturn, considered in traditional astrology to be malefics, which basically means bad. That's at the basic terms. It means, oh no, here comes Saturn, heavy, responsible, disciplined, put you through the ringer, test you all the time, very cold, stoic, and unfeeling. Okay, yeah, that doesn't feel great, right? Responsibility. I can't tell you how many conversations I've had around that over the last few weeks. Everybody going, I'm responsible for everything and everyone. Again, you've heard me say this in multiple videos. I will continue to say it, especially for anybody who's new that's watching and you haven't heard this before. Responsibility, the ability to respond. It doesn't mean that you have to take it all on yourself. Okay, then you have Mars, god of war, right? But I love the description of Mars, or not just the description, but how the Romans honored Mars as being the protector of the community. But there's that fighting spirit that comes with the protector, right? Because if you get on the wrong side of somebody who's fired up, Mars, then all hell breaks loose. Mars is sort of the go where angels dare to tread without thinking. It's very impulsive and it wants to kind of do things independently, free from anybody else. It doesn't want to play by rules. Saturn says, let's play by the rules. And Uranus is like, Mars is going, I need to do it my way, right? When you got these squares going on, what do you think is happening inside of us energetically, emotionally, mentally? Oh, I got to take this on. Oh, I want this to happen. I'm fighting for a cause. I'm fighting for myself. And Uranus is in Taurus, a fixed sign, saying, no, You got to make sure that you have some resources, but we have to do it differently than we've done before. And we got to mix it up, making us a little rebellious. And you put the square in there, it just creates, chaos. It's a feeling of this restlessness inside of you. I know every single one of you watching this has had to have this feeling at least once in their life, where you feel like you're crawling out of your skin and you can't seem to figure out why. Or you get this feeling of like, I've got to take action, but Saturn's going, not yet. Mars is going, now, we got to do it. No, not yet. Okay. I'm giving you this big narrative to set up this week. That's the energy we've been working with. Now, this week should start to feel a little bit lighter. Now we get sort of that we're almost out of the tunnel. We see the light. We've been seeing the light. Maybe that's that restless frustration energy that we're feeling, where it's like, I see it. I'm almost there. I don't know about you guys. I love to go for hikes, and sometimes you take yourself a little further than you expected. And you're like, all right, I only have 1 more mile left, and I'm tired. I'm hungry. My feet hurt. My knees hurt, whatever, And you're like, just 1 more mile. But somehow that 1 mile seems to take forever. But it's the same length that you just walked before, maybe 5 miles before. Anyways, so we're exhausted, and yet we keep going. That's the gift of this square with Saturn and Mars, with Uranus, is that it gives us that challenge of saying, do you want to give up before you actually get there? No, you got the drive, you got the assertiveness. Now you got to use the discipline to put one foot in front of the other to keep going. And in doing so, on Monday, July 5th, we've got this beautiful trine that's happening as Venus starts to make her canoodling aspect, which will happen on the 13th. So that's next week. We'll talk about that next week. But Venus is starting to make a really close, it's like she's reaching out to hug Mars. Our cosmic lovers are coming together in the sign of Leo. They're making a beautiful trine aspect most of this week with Chiron. Now, Chiron is our wounded healer. It is the planet. It's not really a planet, it's an asteroid, but it is the archetype that also, as we work through the wounds, because we can't dismiss them, they're just going to keep coming back. The gift of Chiron is that as we work through the wounds, we can become the healer. And we can turn our weapons into tools. And that way we can say, instead of having to constantly soothe ourselves, we're able to, now we've taken whatever aspects we've learned about ourselves, whatever trials and tribulations we've been through, insecurities, fears, whatever it might be, and we're able to turn them into an elixir. And so then what do we do with elixirs? We go and we help someone who has been poisoned or has been harmed or they're wounded, right? And that's the gift of Chiron. Now, we've got Venus and Mars and Saturn all doing something pretty special with Chiron. I'm going to talk about Saturn and Chiron as it sextiles, and it has been since back in April, and it will continue as Saturn's retrograding, and then it goes direct, and then it comes back and it sextiles again with Chiron. Talk about that in a second. But first, let's talk about Venus and Mars, because that's the theme that we're going to start feeling throughout the week, where we get to, with a trine, it's very harmonious. It's a natural feel. Now, it also can be where we have a little bit of apathy, and we feel like we don't have to work at it because it just comes so naturally to us. But this is where we can look at our relationships, we can look at our values, our finances, the things that we're fighting for in the sign of Leo, which is self-worth. It's about our sense of pride. How do we care about ourselves? How do we care about others? How do we express it? It's that creative expression. And Mars likes being in Leo. It does have a dramatic flair. So some of us may have felt as though we've been involved in drama, or maybe we have been told that we're too dramatic and we need to dumb ourselves down. With this trine to Chiron, can attract to us opportunities to be able to say, this is who I am. I'm not going to apologize for it. I'm not going to dumb myself down. I'm not going to hide my light under a bushel, as that phrase goes. I'm going to give myself permission to look at all of the ways, Chiron and Aries, all the ways in which I can express my independent self and be of benefit in my relationships. that I can actually use my resources like money, because Venus is about harmony and balance. And when we talk about finances with Venus, it's more so because if you want to know what people value, look where they spend their money. That's pretty much what it is. And Venus is also, yes, the shadow side is jealousy. So if you've had relationship issues, and let's say you've been jealous of whether it's in a romantic relationship or a business relationship or, parent child relationship, sibling, whatever, relationships, this is a great opportunity to spend time this week having conversations and connecting and being with those that you really need to offer your healing gifts to. And you can find yourself in a position, especially with Chiron here and the sextile to Saturn, you can find yourself in a position of authority, because what makes you an authority or an expert in this particular area of your life and what you do well? You've had the experience. You're not just talking about it. You've gone through it. There's nothing worse than talking to somebody who has read a book and tries to give you advice on something they've never had the experience. It's like, all right, I can just read the book. I don't need to talk to you about it. Because again, this is about relationship. Venus and Mars are here to bond, to become one, the divine masculine feminine coming together for this beautiful healing, this blending of relationship. And we also have Venus trining the South Node during this time, which is telling me that there's things from our past. Chiron also working with the past. Saturn can work with the past. A lot of the past issues and wounding that we have held in our relationships, maybe it's the relationship with money, maybe it's a relationship with a particular value that we kept compromising. We have a chance to heal that. Now, the healing can come through, if you're single, maybe a new relationship. And it's not just a healing relationship where you two are working through something. It may be that you two come together because you've worked really hard on healing your past insecurities, your past fears, your past ways in which you gave yourself away, where you dumbed yourself down. I will also say that if you are wanting to shine, you want to stand out, now's the month to do it. July's the month to stand out. But this is a great time for you to be able to test it out, try out, hey, this is the real version of me. And you'll notice that people are attracted to that authenticity. They're attracted to that confidence. Venus and Mars in Leo is about confidence, not arrogance. That's the shadow side of it. We have to be careful about becoming overconfident, right? So what we're working with is the confidence that we are exactly where we need to be, and we've had the experiences that we need to have, so we can stand as an expert on stage to say, yes, I can attest, I can testify to this. Now, we do have Venus opposing Saturn on Wednesday, July 7th, but I feel as though this opposition is going to actually create opportunity for us to balance out the things in our lives that have created the frustration, the worries, the fears, that sort of thing when it comes to where do I fit in? How do I belong here? Saturn Aquarius is like on the outside looking in, finding community or finding that tribe. And Venus in Leo can help you do that because you're being authentic. People love it. It's refreshing. Now, July 8th, I have to point this out. Mercury is officially out of shadow. Yes, it's been direct since, June 22nd. But it is now officially out of shadow. So things will start flowing even faster now. Ideas, conversations, connections, everything mercurial. If you've been waiting to buy a car or you needed work on the car, anything like that, things should start to flow again. Also, I would imagine that this is a great time for those of you who are wanting to travel, that the travel delays or frustrations should start to ease up. Now, I want to talk about the Saturn and Chiron sextile that has been happening, because we've talked a bit about the Saturn-Uranus square, and we will continue to talk about that. But the Saturn-Chiron sextile, it is so beautifully subtle and powerful at the same time. It gives us greater self-discipline to be able to work through wounding, like I was talking about, with individuality. How many of us are so afraid to be our true selves because somebody won't like it? If you're in a partnered relationship, I didn't mention this when I was talking about those who are single and wanting to attract. If you're in a partnered relationship, how many times do you compromise your authentic self so that your partner feels better? Now, there's appropriate times to compromise, of course, but to sacrifice to the point where you give yourself away, you lose yourself. I hear that a lot. I've lost myself in my relationships. I've been there, so I can relate. I've had the experience. And I will tell you, it's a real thing because we end up being, especially if you're that people pleaser or over giver, that you suddenly wake up one day and you're like, who am I? I don't even know who I am anymore. And what is this relationship about, right? So regardless of the relationship, or if you're dealing with finances or business or children or health, whatever it might be, Saturn, sextile, and Chiron gives us an ability to have greater self-discipline, to work through these wounds that have to do with being independent. So using health as an example, some of you may be working with some health stuff. We give a lot of authority to the medical community, which is important. They've done their work, they've been through schooling, there's a reason that they're an authority in that field. However, when you are in working with anybody, no matter who they are, there's a partnership that at the end of the day, it's your inner authority that also needs to speak. Not dismissing their expertise, but if a doctor tells you this is what we have, we're going to have surgery on this, and your body is saying, it doesn't feel right. I think I can avoid that if I discipline myself to change my eating habits or change my exercise patterns or, move from this town and go somewhere else that feeds my soul, whatever it might be. So this is an opportunity with the Saturn and Chiron sextile to be able to keep strengthening that. Unresolved insecurities. Raise your hand if you've ever felt insecure. We all have it. It's human, right? The insecurities, there's a gift in insecurity. Why? What's the gift? This is the turning the weapon into a tool. The insecurity makes us question, have self-doubt, have doubts about whatever it might be, fearfulness. It allows us to be able to look at the things inside of ourselves and change the narrative that says, I am valuable, I am worthy, this is what I do really well. And the things that I don't do really well, let me see who I can partner with that can help me to either develop that or do some of those things. I do not enjoy doing bookkeeping, so I have somebody do it for me, right? Social media. I love connecting with you guys, but right now I'm on a social media exhaustion. I don't love it. I really don't. But I have a wonderful assistant, Joan, who I've mentioned before, who does all my posts for me. I give her the content and she makes these beautiful memes, and I'm so grateful. So you find somebody who's willing and able to do this and you partner with them. And now the other piece of this Saturn Chiron sextile is that it can fuel our passions towards success and help us understand our real unique expression. How are we the most successful? I am a success coach, so I work with a lot of people around defining what success is for them. My definition of success looks very different than somebody else's. Now we have the opportunity, and we've been given different opportunities for a while to understand this unique expression and find meaningful value, meaningful work, meaningful connection, meaningful friendships. That's part of this gift. Now, granted, there can be some frustrations along the way, but those frustrations provide opportunity. Sextile is about opportunity to heal and to help others heal. As I mentioned, that elixir. And this is where, as we move through things, we can become a teacher. We may even draw to us teachers while we're working through it. That's the other thing. So if we've been walking through something pretty heavy, then we also are given, say, angels of mercy or teachers that can assist us, that can give us perspective or support or listen to us as we bitch, moan, and whine. Thank God for some of my teachers. Finding strength in community. Finding our tribe, connecting to high ideals can help fix anything that we may seem is broken. We are working with Saturn in Aquarius, so there's systematic issues, institutions, things like that, that were breaking down when Saturn was in Capricorn, that now we're having to set up new processes. We have to find new processes and new ways to deal with some of the stuff that we had swept under the rug or we couldn't deal with before. This is a great time to do it. Courage, strength, vitality to be able to face our fears. And vulnerabilities. How many of us have had an opportunity to really be vulnerable? And then once we are, we become shy or we feel like, oh God, I don't know what to do now. We grieve. It may be that we've been vulnerable and it just, how do I say this? It feels raw, right? And you just want somebody to go, thank you. I see you. You're safe. This is great. I celebrate that vulnerability. And so many of us fail to do that, especially for ourselves. This is a great chance to be able to find our tribe, find our community, find our support, and say, I celebrate your vulnerability. This is where we really get seen. Intimacy. That's the deeper piece of this. We may have struggled to assert ourselves or been too afraid to deal with a particular issue like anger and competitiveness. Now we have a chance to work with it. We can set aside the anger, we can set aside the competition feeling, and we can move into connection. We can move into a tribe or community where we work together, teamwork. This is a great opportunity to say, who is my team? And then now breakthrough ideas happen because we're workshopping stuff. We're working through things together. We can change patterns. That's the gift of this. We can also see where certain patterns have shown up and we can say, okay, how do I do it differently than I've done before? And that's the healing. That's the wisdom that Saturn gives us. And then the healing of Chiron. All right. I know I've done a lot of teaching, if you will, in this video, but I wanted to give you some perspective. Take it if it resonates, let it go if it doesn't. Remember, you're your own inner authority. That's the most important thing. Check out your July horoscopes by sign as it gives you more pieces of information that you can use. And if you are struggling or you just want some support or you just want to connect, I'm me at jamiedon.com. I always enjoy speaking with you. And share, like, comment, subscribe. Let me know how you're doing. I want to see what this week is like for you. Okay, you guys, have such a good week. I'll see you soon.